You find reasons to stay. This is the hotline.
Emily's views, her position on the issues, her point of view backed up by the facts. Here are Emily's views.
So this morning, and for much of the morning actually, we will be watching the developments in the Supreme Court. And the developments in the Supreme Court relate to a party and party hearing where we understand 4 people who've brought the Attorney General and the Minister of Local Government and Development to court over the Counties and Parishes Amendment Act of 2025, which relates to the addition of Portmore as the 15th parish in Jamaica. We expect the Chief Justice, the Honorable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, to be hearing the substantive application for an injunction this morning. Right? Yesterday I had a call from a lady from Portmore, and she raised some concern she has about the intent of the government to make Portmore into a 15th parish. And she expressed some fears, including fears that people might come in and take over her house. Whether those fears are emanating from a real and genuine source or not, there has been some fear-mongering that has led to at least one individual having that concern. You may recall a couple of weeks ago when the matter went to the Parliament and was passed and then to the Senate. It is something I dealt with here, particularly because of a provision in the Constitution which says that the boundaries or the boundary of a constituency shall not cross the boundary of a parish. The boundary of a constituency shall not cross the boundary of a parish. And as a result of the delineation of the boundary for Portmore, as is set out in this law, and I take back law, it has been passed by both houses. I do not know if the Governor General has signed off on it, and I do not know if it has been published in the Gazette. If those things have not yet happened in terms of the Governor General signed off, or there's no publication, then it remains a bill, meaning it is not yet the law. I don't know what the status actually is. But I had the discussions here, and I thought to myself, having interviewed a former director of elections and also interviewed Everett Warmington, the member for Southwest St. Catherine, the JLP's Everett Warmington, he indicated to me what the Electoral Commission now has to do to rectify parish boundary to make them align with constituency boundary so they can fall in line with the Constitution. It didn't seem so simple to me, and it still doesn't. But let me come back to the language of what is before the court. So as a result of what has happened, Leon Thomas, Claude Hamilton, Van Rick Preddy, and Fitz Jackson have all taken the government to court as well as the Minister of Local Government. And they've sought an order prohibiting Desmond Mackenzie as minister or any minister until a further order of the court from appointing a day for the coming into operation of the law. So it seems to me that at the time when they drafted this application, there really was no appointed day. And the appointed day is the day the law begins. So sometimes you can pass a bill in both houses of Parliament, but you can say this should not become law until some date in the future. So they're seeking an order for the court to stop Desmond Mackenzie or any minister until a further order of the court from appointing a day for the coming into operation of the Act. And they also want alternatively that if such a day, listen to this, alternatively in the end that such a day shall have been appointed before an order is made. They want an order that until further order of the court, the 2025 Act is to be treated by all persons and for all purposes as not being in operation. And why do they want that? I'm going to tell you what one of the applicants has told the court in an affidavit as we continue the watch on the Portmore Parish application before the Chief Justice this morning. Let me take a break. And do you want a break? Okay. So Claude Hamilton is the second claimant, second applicant, and he is the PNP member, councillor for the Portmore Pines Division. He said it is situated in the Portmore municipality and he's been the councillor for the Portmore Pines Division since March 26, 2012. I've been a resident of the municipality of Portmore, especially the Portmore Pines Division, since in or about December 1999. Councillors are required to present the concerns of citizens for the division which they represent, and this includes attending monthly meetings of the municipal corporation, and at these meetings make representations with respect to road repair and maintenance of markets, parks, garbage collection, and upkeep of cemeteries, to name a few. He also works with the Member of Parliament to ensure needs of communities are met. He makes himself available to the constituents of the division outside normal working hours, and he liaises with agencies such as Security Ministry, NWA, JCIF, and assist in submitting applications for projects. Councillors reside in the parish which they represent. The electors of the Portmore Pines Division cast ballots at polling divisions number 48 to 75. I've had the opportunity to review the bill, he says, the 2025 bill to amend the Counties and Parishes Act, which was passed by the House and approved by the Senate. In the event the bill becomes law, the Portmore Pines Division in the parish of St. Catherine will be eliminated. Further, the following polling divisions will also be eliminated, from 49 to 56. This means that the voters in the Portmore Pines Division will have to cast their votes in a new division. It also means that my appointment as councillor for the Portmore Pines Division will cease to exist. Cease to exist. And I will no longer be able to offer myself as a candidate for this division. Why will it cease to exist? The Portmore Pines Division will be completely eliminated. That's what he says, completely eliminated. Okay. It also means that my appointment as councillor for the Portmore Pines Division will cease to exist, and I will no longer be able to offer myself as a candidate for this division. In order to become a councillor again, I will have to relocate to a division which will not be impacted by the bill, and then offer myself as candidate for the division. In the circumstances, I humbly pray that this honourable court will deem it fit to grant the relief claimed in the fixed date claim form and in the application for interim relief. So in the application, as I said to you, what they really are asking the court to do is to stop Minister of Local Government from appointing a day for coming into operation of the Act. And if a day has already been appointed, then the court is to treat it as not yet coming into effect. This is interesting because when I ran this potential constitutional breach in my head and said how the breach can be avoided, I'd said that the only way I believe it can be avoided is if there's no date for the coming into operation of the law until after the constituency boundaries are realigned so as to bring them in line with the parish boundaries. And I think if that happens, then that is safe, and that's probably why they have couched the application in the ways that they have. Because to my mind, it is a law. It is a law that brought the city municipality of Portmore into being. And a law must be able to undo what a previous law did. So even if a division will cease to exist, the crucial question is whether the people in the division will be unrepresented. And that cannot be the case. I think a lot of this could have been avoided if the signals were clearer. Certainly from the local government minister who piloted the bill in the parliament. And I believe it's the foreign affairs minister who walked it through the Senate. There probably should have been an indication as to when the appointed day would be in light of the concerns raised in the parliament about the potential effect. You recall Fitz-Jackson talking about gerrymandering and all of that. The bottom line is here we are, an interesting application, not for the first time. When I raised this matter last week and wondered whether a breach having not yet actualized because the law is not yet in place, whether anybody can seek to bring a claim when the law is not yet in operation. And Council Hugh Wildman reminded me of the principle of anticipatory breach. But on top of that, I recall the Julian Robinson and the NIDS matter, where the Chief Justice, who gave the leading decision in that, it was himself, the Honorable Mr. Justice Batts, and I'll tell you the name of the Honorable Mrs. Lisa. I'll give you her full name soon. She moved from the DPP's office and she's now a judge, but her decision was the shortest of the three. But I recall certainly Justice Sykes, as he then was, saying that when you're dealing with constitutional rights, you need not wait for a breach to actually happen. You can bring a claim if you believe a breach is likely, or even if it is not likely, it is possible. Yeah? So I think that is the basis on which they have sought this particular application. I do not know what Desmond McKenzie or any other respondent, I don't know what they have said in reply to these affidavits, and I read for you portions of the affidavit of one of the affiants a moment ago, but it would be good to hear what they say and if their intention was to suspend the day of coming into operation of the law, and if that is so, where does it take this matter? Yeah, because if they indicate that in an affidavit, then it can't hurt for the court to, I suppose, put an injunction in place until such time as this thing happens. Yeah? But we wait and see the leaning of the Chief Justice after he has heard these submissions this morning. Very, very interesting times. Yeah. Right. The Gleaner this morning carries a story at the bottom of the fold by Andre Williams, where Firearms and Narcotics Investigation Division went into a community in Kingsland in Manchester on Wednesday and arrested a bar operator who allegedly collected a barrel at a wharf in Kingston containing an arms shipment from the United States. It's so funny because only last week I had a caller to this program, Bobo. And Bobo was asking me if I can remember anybody being arrested, I think, or convicted. I think it's probably arrested for any of these guns and ammo shipment coming to Jamaica. And I said to him there may have been. The fact that I couldn't recall it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. But here it is only today, Bobo, just for you. 2 male relatives of this lady in Kingsland, in Manchester, have been taken into custody along with the woman in relation to the probe, which began when the shipment was intercepted earlier this month. And I know, as I said, I've asked the police about this before. Why don't you wait and let some people come and collect these barrels and then arrest the collector, as opposed to, whatever it is you do? And whatever explanation they've given, clearly, at least one member of the public hasn't been satisfied with that. But there is some result on the front page of the newspaper this morning. And I think, as I said yesterday, I'm looking forward to the assistance that the United States will give to Jamaica to help us curtail the shipment of guns here. And it's not only the shipment, because we have so many open ports that are completely unmanned and are probably unmannable. I know we get some vessels and drones and so forth are being used, but I think until every bit of shoreline in Jamaica is being, there's observation from above, then we can't be sure as to where these things are coming from. And I think the ones that get through may actually be more than the ones that we hold on to. But if there's any administration in the United States that can do what others have not done, as much as it is not my choice, I must say it is my view that it will be this administration. Yeah? And on top of that, I see Peter Espute this morning bringing a line I heard John coming with yesterday. I'm sure the United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio did not fly here from Washington to tell us that when he gets back home he will reevaluate the U.S. travel advisory for Jamaica to reflect the current reality regarding crime. He could have asked the U.S. ambassador to Jamaica or the first secretary to inform us of that, or he could have made a telephone call. And the Secretary of State did not take himself here to repeat his threat in person that if we didn't send home the more than 400 Cuban doctors and nurses, he would cancel the U.S. visa of the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health, their wives and children. So he's pouring scorn on what was published and saying there's more to it. Well, if there's more to it, like pregnancy, it is coming, and we will see. Stay with us.
Join us next time for Emily's Views on...
What is the reason for your frown? You wonder what's happening with the headset?
I wasn't aware of it, but because I see some skipping and jumping, and
I know, headset.
I was wondering what was happening.
Yeah, I know.
But I wasn't aware of the frown.
That's fine. I can read you. It's time for conversations with the NHT Dwayne Burbick, the Assistant General Manager. Assistant soon, robot. Corporate communication, public affairs. No, mere talk. Speak it into being. Good to see you, Mr. Burbick.
You know, you have a way of promoting people who come on the show.
Very much so. You to your highest level of competence. Yeah?
A pleasant morning to you. Long time don't see you. And a pleasant morning to our listeners as always.
It's so good to see you, though.
Leanne was saying, have you met Leanne? She's famous. She's like all over social media.
Oh? Well, me not all over social media.
But Leanne was saying, I think we've seen you probably once since here.
That sounds like you miss me.
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
I do. We do.
Thank you. Miss you too. Before you even come to me on anything,
jeez,
I see NHT in the paper this morning.
Oh, good something.
Did you see this?
Yeah, man.
NHT implements reimbursement system in developers program. In a strategic move to boost affordable forwarding, NHT has implemented a reimbursement system in the developers program aimed at improving builders' access to financing for housing projects. What does this mean?
All right, so let's backtrack a little and let me tell you about the developers program generally.
Yeah.
So the developers program is one of those vehicles, one of those initiatives, for want of a better word, that the NHT is using to increase the number of housing starts and completions in the medium term. We know that big figure of 43,000 housing starts. And so the NHT has to have different channels and methods through which we're going to achieve that. One of them is the developers program. So under the developers program, the NHT makes available parcels of land that it has to developers to do construction. So I do believe we started with around 9 parcels where we put them, we advertise them, tell developers that these nine parcels are available, and developers, what they do is to come up with their own designs, construction plans, financing plans as well, and make proposals to the NHT to and bids, for want of a better word as well, to get the right to develop on these properties for the NHT. So under the program, the NHT retains 80%, at least 80% of the housing solutions that are built, and the developer gets to have the other 20%, and they can bring them to the market under the open market arrangement for themselves. So in a bid to now engage and to get more developers under the program, the NHT is making this a little bit, putting a little sweetener in the pot.
Right.
So developers many times before they get to construction, working on the soil, there are some costs that are available.
Yes.
You have to do soil reports. You
Yes.
have to do building designs. You have to do
Feasibility studies.
different feasibility studies based on the topography of the land, etc. So sometimes you may do all of that, and then the project may not materialize. The partnership may not work out. So what the NHT is saying now is that go ahead and do those things. And on the back end, we will pay you for them, because
On the back end?
on the back,
Not
well,
up front?
not the back
Yeah.
at the end of the project,
Yeah.
but at different stages, and the program has different stages upon completion of different components of the program.
Right.
Different disbursements are made.
So
But
you won't
remember,
advance it to the developer?
no, but remember, under the developers program, the developer is financing the project.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
these designs, these reports, etc., remember, these are lands owned by the NHT. So the NHT is ensuring that we have an arrangement where we can secure those in the event that the developer probably changes their mind and want to move on, that the project doesn't just come to a full stop.
Right.
And we have to start over. The NHT has the benefit of
Yes.
any soil report, anything that has been done. And so the NHT is making that as a part of the program now, where we will reimburse the developer for it. And that builds up the developer's cash flow as well, because that's quite a bit of cost that you find yourself you could be spending.
Yes.
Remember, we're not talking about half acre or quarter acre or 1 acre land. We're talking about hundreds of acres of land in some of these instances, and we're talking about development costs that run you probably up to $1 billion for a development. And so that is something we've put on the table based off consultation. We come up with these programs, and over time, based off consultations, we make the necessary amendments that will ensure that the program works better and helps the NHT to achieve what it wants to achieve at the end of the day.
Because this is where you do the guaranteed purchase agreement. This is different?
So the guaranteed purchase agreement is another one. So under the guaranteed purchase agreement now, the developer has his own land already and his own project designs and gets some amount of financing from the NHT in terms of mobilizing the project.
Yes.
It's of course going to be secured by a bond.
Okay.
And should the project not materialize, then the NHT's investment in it doesn't go to waste, but the NHT has a secure bond in an institution that we can call upon in the event that things don't work out.
So this developers program, this is new?
It's been around for a little while. What we're doing is revising it, and so the term we use is the new developers program.
Okay.
We've made some improvements to it in recent times, and so we're doing some amount of publicity to get more developers aware of it, to get more on board as well. And we've actually had quite a bit of progress under it already. Last month, or was it earlier this month, Leanne? Earlier this month, we were in Manchester, where we launched, we had groundbreaking for a development at Mount Nelson in Manchester that's yielding over 1,700 one-bedroom, two-bedrooms, and I do believe service lots. And that's under the developers program as well. And if I could just give you some insight on some of the other projects, we have Mount Nelson in Manchester, 1,758.
This is a developers program?
Under developers program, yes.
Mount Nelson?
In Manchester. We have Friendship in St. Elizabeth, 543 solutions there. Barrett Hall in St. James. We are about to break ground for that project, I think, in another week or two. That should give us another 1,565. We have the Greater 1,565.
Okay, so 1,565. But the number you're giving me here Is this your 80% of the total, or this is a total?
This is a total. I think project numbers.
Okay, so you'll get 80% of each of
At
them.
least 80%.
At
In
least.
some instances, the developer has no interest in getting their 20%. Them say you sell that NHT and give me whatever
Right.
from that.
Right.
So
and when you ask for the 80%, you're selling it within the price range that certainly the government has now said a house like that is supposed to be going for.
You would have heard in the budget debates, Prime Minister Holness indicated what's that price point that the NHT is targeting, a price point of $14 million that the NHT is targeting for new projects. We may get it sometimes, because there are different variables that you have to factor in. But even if we don't hit the 14 or below, at least in the negotiations we have that as a target point. So as we go out and we engage these different developers, whether under the developers program or under the guaranteed purchase program, at least we know it's public information that this is a target price point.
Excellent.
So if you're not going to come in here or near to here, then this is probably not the program for you, because we have to ensure that what we put to market is grounded in the reality of what our contributors can afford. And no house prices are interesting of late, but at the end of the day, the NHT has the benefit of 500,000 contributors. We know how much they can afford, and so we have to ensure that in our construction overlay that whatever we do put to market is grounded in that kind of understanding. And I should point out as well, Emily, that of course people may go, okay, you're targeting units $14 million, but your loan limit is not even $14 million. Remember, the NHT provides 100% financing up to $15 million per property. And the NHT has the different, we call them enablers, that bridge that divide between where the house price is and where the contributor may be at in terms of affordability. So we're talking about things like deferred mortgages, where you're able to finance at least 60% of the cost of the unit at the time of loan application. NHT makes it available to you, and over time we make some assumptions. Incomes will change.
Yes.
Different things will allow you to have more affordability over time, and over time we add the remaining 40%. So that you don't have the 100% at the point of application is not a deterrent, is what we're saying, which speaks to how the NHT now approaches how we subsidize houses. That we could have a house that at construction cost is $15 million. And what we do when the customer applies now, we see what are the ways that would help this specific customer to get there. Customer A may apply, and based off their income, based off their age and the other variables, they're good in terms of paying a $15 million mortgage. But for customer B who is not, then we sit down and have a conversation. Is it going to be a deferred mortgage? Do you need a home grant that's going to bridge the gap in terms of where you are at? Do we need an intergenerational mortgage? So I say that to tell people, don't be deterred by the prices that you see the NHT lists at. Once you're selected, then we go into a conversation about affordability and the different what you want to call them, probably subsidies that the NHT can apply to ensure that you're able to finance the mortgage on a monthly basis.
When we come back, you have 30 seconds to tell me what you really came here to talk about. Then take calls. At least you know your stuff, because I took you completely out of winding, but you were on point. This is the hotline.
The Legal Aid Council provides free legal assistance.
Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. It's Conversations with the NHT. We know you have a lot of calls normally. You can start sending the calls in 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615, toll free 888-991-2080. So, Mr. Berbick, I took you, as I said, to this matter because it's in the news this morning. And I don't know what you came here to talk about, but I want to know some other things, including the range of things announced by the Prime Minister in the budget. Is the NHT sort of recalibrating your books, your focus to accommodate the things he mentioned? And can you specify some of those where you are?
Sure, definitely. Following the announcement by Prime Minister Holness, was it last week?
Yeah.
Last week, Thursday? Right. So we've been now meeting to see the implication, and I say implication, let me qualify because I don't want people to misinterpret what I mean. In terms of the system changes, the different modifications that would need to take place. We're talking about increase in affordability. So, for example, eligibility letters that customers get from the NHT, they speak to a particular amount. The current NHT's loan limit of $7.5 million. So now we have to look at how quickly can we make those system changes so that it now reflects the new loan amount of $9 million. So the team is currently meeting. We're going through, and hopefully, not hopefully, we will definitely be ready for July 1, if not earlier. So we're currently going through the necessary system changes that we need to make to be able to facilitate our customers where that is concerned. Just a general reminders, and this is important because a couple of people yesterday sent me a graphic that had something about NHT's loan limit come April 1. NHT will make $30 million available for affordable housing. It was a very disturbing but obviously misleading graphic.
Yeah.
NHT offering up to $30 million to purchase a home at 2% interest. Apply by April 1, 2025. No collateral, no deposit required.
Oh, it's the April 1, you know.
April 1. It's a real all fool's joke because that's not the reality. That's not the reality. And it's giving scam 101. So for the people who are listening, just zoom in. If you've gotten this, just look at the logo. Definitely a bastardization of the NHT's logo, not even remotely close. And it goes National Housing Trust, HOUSIVG Trust, housing spelled wrong.
Oh.
I'm saying all of this. Scam 101, guys. So this graphic and anything relating to it that you probably may have been receiving, that's not legitimate and that's not from the NHT.
Right.
So to clarify, the NHT's loan limit per applicant moves to $9 million come July 1, 2025, as announced by Prime Minister. So we're moving for open market loans from 7.5 to 9 million for a single applicant, 17 million for a double applicant, and 23 million where 3 people are co-applying. So 7.5 moves to 9 million, 15 moves to 17 million, and 21 million, the previous amount for 3 applicants, now goes to 23 million.
Right. So where you told me before that you have 100% financing for up to 15 million, 15 million, are you then going to have to change this 15 million property in light of the movement?
No, we wouldn't have to, because remember, also we're targeting housing units that come in at that price point or below that price
at
point.
15.
At 15
but
or
the
less,
developers
14.
going to push up them price?
Remember, the 100% financing only applies to NHT schemes. The 100% financing up to 15 million only applies to NHT
So
schemes.
under the developers program, where it is your land and the developer building on that, and you're getting about 80% or whatever of the housing stock, whose schemes are those?
NHT developments.
Okay.
So customers will be able to get
The
all
15.
the NHT benefits. So you won't need to
100%.
go and get additional financing. You'll get your NHT interest rate.
Yes.
And everything that comes with being a NHT contributor who is transitioning to being a mortgager.
Okay.
That's a good thing about it. And it's the same thing for the guaranteed purchase program
Yes.
as well. Even though the developer builds them on their site with their financing,
Yeah.
they hand them over to the NHD, and therefore the NHD sells them as NHD projects with all the NHD financing arrangements that customers can get applied.
I don't think the Prime Minister spoke to land. And if you want to build on own land, can you move things without an indication from the Prime Minister? And are you considering moving how much a person can get if they intend to build on own land?
Well, he spoke about build on own land actually, and we now
Oh.
have a new loan limit coming July 1 for build on own land. So we're looking at build on own land moving from 7.5 million to 11 million. So we're giving contributors who are looking to go the construction route, more financing to be able to do that. And that's in keeping with changes as it relates to the prices of raw material and COVID and post-COVID. We've seen those kind of shocks that construction material, have experienced as it relates to prices. So we're moving up that to 11 million. Again, 17 million if 2 people are co-applying and 23 million if 3. So those amounts would be the new amounts come July 1 for people who are building on own land.
Right.
I should point out as well too, where you're buying a property on the open market and that costs 14 million or less, the NHC is introducing a new interest rate there of, not interest rate, a new loan limit there of $12 million for those properties as well.
Well, 14 million can only get you a bus stop.
I like that. Which part?
Never see one little bus stop. 14 million.
you know, in this discussion about house prices, we have to ensure I know Kingston
Yeah, that's true.
has its own, Kingston and
Price
St.
point.
Andrew has its own house price.
True.
Can I say madness?
Demand.
But yeah, the supply and demand
Yeah.
challenges in Kingston are a little bit different. We're seeing more high rises, and more high rises mean more infrastructure costs, and more infrastructure costs
True.
means higher prices. And then there is just the simple economics of supply and demand as well, that if you have up to probably 40-50% of your population living in urban areas, then the prices for housing and any other commodity for that matter is going to be more expensive. But there are a whole other 13 parishes.
Not counting
14.
Portmore. I saw your hesitation.
Insert asterisks right here. There's a whole other reality outside of Kingston and St. Andrew.
True.
And I know that in this discourse about affordable housing, we oftentimes forget the role of urban planning. That needs to be part of it too. That if we have more flexible working arrangements, if we have people can do more remote work, then less people would be trying to live in the capital.
Yes.
And therefore you'll be able to get your $2 million 14-15 bedroom. Hey, my words, I'm twist up this man. Your $14 million 2-bedroom or $15 million 2-bedroom in another parish, or for even less. So we have to weigh those kind of sentiments about house prices to kind of look at the reality of Kingston and St. Andrew. Which is much like New York in the USA, where your house prices are vastly different.
Impossible for young people to buy in
You
those.
go out in Atlanta though, and the price of house is a whole other discourse. So
Right.
yeah, similar thing here in Jamaica.
All right. I have to ask you about the rent to own there was an issue. Do you now have a rent to own policy?
The NHD does have a rent to own policy. The reality is it's part of what I call those enablers, that once we have that approval for the customer that they qualify for the NHD scheme, then we go into the bag and see which one of these the customers want to be able to afford it. The reality is a lot of people don't choose it, especially when you have 100% financing up to $15 million. You have intergenerational mortgage, you have parent assist, you have so many other options that it's not an option that customers oftentimes choose.
So how does it work though? You have to qualify. Tell me how it works, the rent to own.
I would have to go research it
Oh,
and
research
tell you.
it, research it and come back.
It's that it's so limited in its use in terms of
Yes.
customer option that
Yes.
I'm not 100% familiar
fine.
with the application of it. So I'd have to go do some research
And I
on
didn't.
that
Yes,
and get
I
back.
didn't. I didn't tell you that I wanted. So come back next week. Let's hear how it works because I have some concerns about it as well. Because you becoming a landlord and somebody who is delinquent in paying rent. What happens? You may have to hire a battery of lawyers to go to court to get possession and all different sort of things. But you do say you have it on your system, so perhaps we can talk about that next week or so. Now, I've lost the callers. I'm ready to take one or two of your calls. Mr. Burbick, anything to announce that you want people to be aware of since this has been my conversation with NHD? Anything you want to tell us?
No, just we'll be having the promotion about well, let me see. We'll be doing our publicity leading up to July 1 to help customers understand a little bit more. For
Yes.
example, smart energy gone up to 2.5.
know.
A lot of things announced, but we'll talk more about them in the weeks ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. Next time I try not to stay away. 2178 morning, Mr. Burbick's listening. Who is this?
Hello?
Hi, you're on the hotline. Who is this?
Good morning. This is Mr. Henry.
Mr. Henry, Mr. Burbick listening. Quickly.
I have a question. You NSC have a program in the Omenburg, Clarendon.
Yeah.
I was chosen for that and got published. But it has been over 2 years now. And I haven't heard anything about that project. So I'm wondering what's going on with that project.
So just hold on for me. Let's leave your details and Mr. Burbick
Yes,
will
please.
follow up with you directly. All right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on, Mr. Henry. Let me just see. 8631. Hello, morning.
Good morning, Michelle.
John.
You know, I don't normally call you on Friday.
Really?
Yes, but two
Mr.
things here for Mr. Burbick.
You have
which
30 seconds.
Huh?
30 seconds, quickly.
All right, Mr. Burbick.
Yes, John.
I have the opposition leader mentioned a program where people will be